Welcome to the Learning Shop at Crowley ISD podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike McFarland, and I hope that you were able to watch part 1 of my Leadership in the Classroom series. If not, go back and watch or listen to hear more about Sonny Cariano's story. He was an awesome teacher, is an awesome teacher in Crowley ISD, and so we just love that conversation, and you will enjoy it as well. In today's episode, we're speaking with another outstanding, dynamic leader who exemplifies excellence every single day in education in our classrooms here in Crowley ISD. Now, she has nearly 20 years of experience in early childhood. That's a long time. And she's a pre-K teacher in Crowley ISD for her 3rd year. But most importantly, she is the wife of Mark. And I've heard all about Mark. She's the mom of Carter and Ivan. And man, she has some stories to tell about Carter and Ivan as well. And she is our elementary teacher of the year in Crowley ISD. In the entire district, we have 2,000 teachers in Crowley ISD, and she is the #1 elementary teacher of the year. And most importantly, if she's not in her classroom or spending time with her family, she is probably, now get this, she is probably making a DIY project. Please welcome Miss Whitney Ruiz, and thank you all for joining me to the Learning Shop today. Miss Ruiz, glad to see you this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Miss Ruiz, thank you again for being here. We're in the Learning Shop, and so, we've had some conversations about the Learning Shop, and so the barbershop is just has been so instrumental and critical to me in my upbringing. And so in the barbershop, we have conversations about all these things that happen in the world, in society, the most current events and all those things we had going on. But most importantly, we also talk about leadership. And so we are definitely excited about you being here today to join us in this leadership conversation.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
All right. Well, definitely glad you're here with us today. So our first session is fresh leadership advice in 60 seconds. So fresh leadership advice in 60 seconds. Okay. So now how this works is that I will start a statement, and then you will complete the statement. And so you only have 60 seconds. And so I know you're going to jump in and share. You're going to finish these statements for us. And so let's go.
Okay.
All right. This 20-year early education educator. I know you love to improvise and you do it all the time, right? So let's go today. All right. Teaching pre-K is like?
Organized chaos.
Organized chaos. All right. Leadership in education means?
Building positive relationships.
Okay. Relationships. That's an interesting a term to talk about with leadership. Okay. So my students have taught me?
That anything can happen at any time of the day.
All right. I can imagine that. So when I found out that I was a teacher of the year, I
was genuinely shocked.
Wow.
Genuinely floored.
Wow. Okay, all right. And after 3 years in the classroom?
That's why I was so shocked.
Wow, that means you're natural. I'm motivated to show up every day because?
My students need me and I need them.
All right. My students describe me as?
Kind, fun, sometimes a little, structured, but kind and fun is what I get most of the time.
All right, and the last question. If I could give every teacher one word of advice, it would be?
To be intentional.
Wow. Leadership is intentional, and to be intentional is so critical today. So thank you for sharing that, Ms. Ruiz. Awesome advice. You give a lot of great advice, obviously. Yeah. So, that's one of the things as educators, we oftentimes just give so much advice. You have every day in the classroom, you have 20 kids?
22.
22, all right, 22 pre-K?
Yes.
How old are they?
4. They're 4 turning 5.
Wow.
Yes.
That is awesome. So okay, all right. So you used to influencing folks. You're influencing kids all day long.
All day, yes.
All
Little
right.
people with big minds and big emotions.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, all right. So when you think about leadership, I want you to think about your experience with leadership because you've had a lot of experience, and so you've had experiences with a lot of different kind of leaders. And so if I were to ask you to describe for me leadership based on the experiences you've had, how would you describe it?
For me, based on the experience I have, I believe leadership really starts at relationship.
Okay.
Is having leaders that pour into you, leaders that focus on you as an individual. They're mindful of what you need and what you can do. They know what you're capable of. And so the guidance that they give you really just guides you to your success.
Yeah.
And your success is their success is your success. So really a leader just being able to work with you intentionally as an individual and just guide you to where you need to be. When I
Yeah.
think of a leader, that's what I think of, a strong relationship.
All right. Wow. So, as you're describing leaders, you mentioned a couple words, though, that just jumped out at me that I've heard quite a bit. You said intentional,
Yes.
relationships,
Yes.
and then you also mentioned guide. Talk to me a little bit more about the leader as a guide. What does that mean?
So for me, a leader as a guide, because when I go to a leader in the classroom, in the school, even in personal life, when I'm coming to you as a leader, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for guidance. You have the experience that I see in you. You have the knowledge that I need. So I'm coming to you to share that with me. So I don't just want, response, oh, you should do this. I want you to work with me and be like, well, based on my experiences, these are things that worked. These things aren't in your classroom. I noticed you do this or that. Let me guide you with not necessarily just, oh, you could do this. Let me give you options.
Right.
What will work best for you? And then kind of guide me to make my own decisions and not make them for me.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So you have a 11-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Wow. Now that's a wide range there.
It is.
So
yes.
think about leadership as a parent, as observing your children, and just in the family in general. Talk to me about what do you see as impactful there as it relates to the relationship at home.
So for our relationship at home, it also goes back to also that intentionality. That's something that this year for me is a personal goal.
Okay.
Just to be more intentional in all aspects of my life, not just responding to my kids, but really thinking things through and showing them that, even as a parent, I can parent you in a positive way to help you be successful and learn the ways of life, and
Right.
not just, speaking at them,
Yeah.
but speaking to them, having that communication with them, and really just setting like that positive role model for them,
Yeah.
and really being involved with them and let them be involved, even as kids,
Right.
making some of those decisions and having family discussions and having family time.
Yeah.
And just having that sense of support, because that's what I grew up with. So I want my kids to have the same thing.
Absolutely. It's amazing, when you kind of describe that, because it sounds like for you, a leader is someone who wants the best for others.
Yes.
I love it. So I know you've gone through and done all kind of things dealing with early childhood, whether it's babysitting or helping children at church or volunteering in high school. You were always serving others. Like, that's just what you do, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's just who you are. And so what about those experiences interested you in teaching?
Those experience, really when I think about any experience that I have, my love language as a person is helping others.
Okay.
I like to see other people happy. So when that happiness is brought on from something that I've done for you or helped you do, that gives me joy.
Yeah.
So all of those experiences with the students or with other kids, when I get to see that I planned this super fun activity or even just this basic lesson, but my kids' faces, they light up, they're smiling, they're so excited and so engaged, and they go home and tell their parents about it, that makes me happy. That makes me feel like I'm making a difference because I'm fostering that love of learning and they want to come to school.
Yeah.
Because when a student comes and they're just so excited to see you, that's the best feeling for me in the morning
Absolutely.
when they're like, Miss Ruiz.
Right.
It just warms my heart so much
Yeah.
that they want to be there with me.
Right. Okay. Great. So here's a question I want you to think about. So we're here talking about leadership and really reflecting on our past experiences and kind of where we are right now. And so I want to know, like, what is it that you know about leadership today that you wish you had known maybe 10 years ago about leadership?
Okay. I think today knowing about leadership is when you're being a leader, being mindful of others. Because
Okay.
when I was assistant director for a daycare, it's been about 12, 13 years ago, I didn't really think of those teachers. It was really just like, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. Kind of just like, making sure that everybody was doing what they're supposed to be doing. But now really thinking about when you're being a leader and trying to teach others is just being mindful of the advice that you give, the guidance that you give, and really trying to foster them and not just, again, not just speaking at them, but having a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And I really wish I would have known that back then. But now that I have more experience in that and really trying to hone in on that, I feel like it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you were probably you learned about leadership a lot like I did, and a leader is somebody that's up front talking and giving the directions and all that.
Yes.
But you've experienced something totally different, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's the kids you taught your first year in Crowley ISD.
Yes.
They're now in the third grade or
They're
second
first grade.
Oh, first grade because you did pre-K 3.
Nope, I did pre-K 4. So this is I'm currently in my third year.
Gotcha.
So my first year, I've completed 2 full years. So
Okay.
my first pre-K class is in first grade. And
First grade.
I still see them in the hallway and Miss Ruiz, and
All right,
I still
cool.
love them.
So think about in the best case scenario, talk to me about what you would wish for your former students. What is it that you wish your former students had learned from you about leadership?
Okay. I wish that they learned from me is just better communication.
Okay.
Even as a first year teacher, I was trying to figure it out, and just kind of going through the day, going through the role, and my communication was kind of lacking a little bit. But over the last couple of years, really just having a more open communication with my students, and I want them to feel comfortable being able to go to others and be honest and open and have a good communication with people. Just to know that school is a safe place.
Absolutely.
And you can go to any teacher there, past or present, and be able to communicate how you feel with them. Just being comfortable in that role.
Gotcha. Okay, all right. And so as you complete this first year as a teacher of the year, and as you kind of looking toward the maybe the end of this calendar year and the beginning of the next year, what is it that you have extracted from this year as being a teacher of the year? What's been the most impactful experience you've had as a teacher of the elementary teacher of the year?
As an elementary teacher of the year, it has really made me want to do more.
Okay.
Honestly, looking back at all the things that I have done over the past 2 years and all the hard work I put into it and seeing the accomplishments I've had. So now my thought is, what can I do now? Like, what is that next step that I can take? How can I get to the next level as an educator for my students? Really just, setting the bar a little bit higher, just trying to go higher than what I have been at the last 2 years.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Awesome. What questions do you have of me about leadership?
So as a superintendent, you deal with, educators, students, families. How do you juggle all that as a leader? What kind of mindset do you keep when dealing with others?
That's a good question. and you've been saying the word, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you asked me that question, because it really is about a mindset. And you said earlier that the leader has to always be mindful and be intentional about what they're doing, what they're saying, who's around, and all that. And so one thing I can say as a leader, being in a state of constant reflection and being a listener is so important. And making sure that you're managing, as a leader, you're managing your ego and your emotions. Because we all are, we all have egos. We all have this belief that we can do and all that, and we want to make things about us. And we all have emotions. But as a leader, you got to be able to process whatever's going on and not necessarily use your ego to respond. And that's good things or bad things. Like, if things are really good, your ego will want you to take credit for it. Right. Things are really bad, your ego will want you to blame. And so you got to refuse to do any one of those things, because it's somewhere in the middle. So I think being mindful is something that's important, because there's so many different challenges that come.
Yes,
and so just being able to know what's important and what's necessary at that point in time. All right. So what do you enjoy most about teaching pre-K?
And what do I enjoy most about teaching pre-K? Again, they're little people with big feelings. I love having the conversations with them, and they're just so open to anything. Everything is fresh and new to them. A lot of them,
Yeah.
this is their first time ever in school. So it's a whole new world to them. And so just being able to offer those experiences to them, I'm very hands-on in the classroom, very real world experiences. I feel like that's how they learn best. And just getting to see their excitement and having conversations. Because, I mean, we've have some crazy conversations sometimes.
right.
You never know what a pre-K student is going to say to you.
I bet.
But just being able to just be with them and just foster their love and excitement for learning every day. I just love being in there with them and being able to do that for them.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. Definitely, that's it's been really good, talking to you today. Thank you again for just making your time and making time to be here. When we initially started this process, the whole goal was simply to elevate the conversation around leadership. And we wanted to elevate this conversation because we believe, and I believe, that oftentimes people think of leaders as a position. They think of leaders as a title. They think of leadership as what you do for yourself and the accomplishments you achieve. But in actuality, leadership is about none of those. It's not about any of those things. The most important piece is what you said. First of all, it's about others and serving others and being mindful and being in relationship. All these things, Ms. Ruiz, you mentioned today, these are things that have just been affirmed over and over again from all other guests. And so it's just good to know that true leadership is really in the classroom in Crowley ISD.
Yes.
And thank you for impacting the students you do on a daily basis. Thank you for being a leader in your family and in our community. It's awesome that you grew up in this community and you're actually still here serving. So that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So thank you, and you are a blessing to Crowley ISD. I've definitely enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you for being a part of the Learning Shop today.
Yes, thank you for having me. And I love working for Crowley ISD. Thank you so much.
All right.
Yes.
So in Crowley, we act like a family.
And we work like a team.
There we go. All right. You had me worried there for a second.
No.
So, hey, thank y'all for joining in to the Learning Shop podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that you can continue to get notifications about upcoming episodes. And hey, go back and look at some of the other episodes. We try to take we're intentional about taking a look at leadership from all the different angles. We have students, we have young ladies, we have young men, we have teachers and coaches and leaders from our community. Our whole goal is to redefine leadership and to elevate the fact that leadership is not about itself, but it is about others. And you can lead from right where you are. Lead well. Until next time. Have a great one.